Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Wednesday, January 15th, 2014. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I had an article that the cabal is going to try to put everybody on the defensive and make everybody nervous and uncomfortable, and I guess that was prophetic because there is a lot of news today that I think is significant, that really bears looking at, that appears to be rather negative. So diving right into that, this article from RT, U.S. drops from top 10 economic freedom ranking. And it is what it is. We all know that if we're honest with ourselves. And we can't, how can you argue? Next from Natural News, there was a terrible chemical spill in West Virginia. I saw some photographs of tap water this morning on Facebook. And the water just looks like brown, well, amber colored sludge. Not good. And of course it sparks a state of emergency, and you know, here this kind of article calls all the questions to our mind. Why are they why do they let some very dangerous things get by, like increased radiation? And my gosh, chemtrails, I mean, they're incredibly toxic. And those are all things that are actually done by these people who are trying to, West Virginia spill prompts drive for tougher regulations. Well, tougher regulations on whom? And pertaining to what? You know, it's not, may not be helpful. And here, somewhat related, from Suzanne Posel at OccupyCorporatism.com, scientists change public opinion on geoengineering with propaganda. Yeah, we're propagandized, this West Virginia thing, let's face it, virtually anything that makes it into the mainstream media is intended to direct public opinion one way or another. And considering the whole state of the environment, chemtrails are very toxic and very harmful, and they are intentionally being done. And I don't know a whole lot about the background of the chemical spill in West Virginia. I certainly hope that nobody did that intentionally. God help us all. With madmen in control, it's difficult. Now, here from the Vatican Project is something that maybe is a little less negative than some of the other information that I have today. I mentioned that there was a suggestion that the water supply simply be shut off to the NSA so they couldn't run their computers. And here's a little update. Update on NSA water shutoff. U.S. senators propose bill to shut off NSA's water supply in California. Well, that would help us out in California because we are having a drought. And I'm for this. I'm not sure how much traction this suggestion will get in the Senate, but more power to them. Here from American Thinker, Obamacare meltdown on schedule. According to figures released by HHS, only 1/4 of the 2 million Obamacare enrollees who signed up through December are young adults, 18 through 34. On the other side of the coin, fully 1/2 are 45 to 64. Well, if you understand anything about health insurance, you will be fully aware that that is not going to work mathematically. The one is not able to support the other at those numbers. Here's an interesting article from thehill.com. Obama's use of executive power faces reckoning at Supreme Court. Of course, this article represents this as being very positive and very significant. Nothing less than the boundaries of executive power are at stake Monday, as the Supreme Court considers whether President Obama violated the Constitution during his first term. Oral arguments slated for Monday will center on a trio of recess appointments to the National Labor Relations Board that were deemed unconstitutional by lower courts. So maybe there's some potential here for some kind of accountability. We will follow that. Here from End the Lie, key provision of net neutrality law struck down by federal court. I guess ultimately, in my mind, this is possibly the worst news of the day. Verizon had a case that they took to the higher courts, and the ruling was handed down early Tuesday by way of a 2-to-1 decision in the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit in Washington, D.C. And those who have been following the case closely say this week's decision could have colossal consequences for the way Americans access the internet. And Verizon was proposing that it violates their constitutional rights to be told how they run their business, basically. And in one sense, I can see that. And this wouldn't bother me, really, if there were viable alternatives for ISPs. And hopefully we will see that. I mean, if this happens, I'm hoping that maybe a lot of independent ISPs will spring up. Of course, they will be more expensive, and in the early days of the internet, there were a lot of small independent ISPs, although they all did depend on AT&T for their hard lines. Now, if the internet could go completely wireless, the issue would become a lot more clear, because we wouldn't even need ISPs. But as I said, I'm hoping that people will react to this and begin to go out and look for other providers who are going to honor net neutrality. And the issue here is, some websites would be more accessible than others. And that's really a form of censorship, corporate censorship. So start looking for your new little ISP, I guess, or maybe get some money together and start one. Let people pay by Bitcoin. How's that? Here's another article on the same topic. New World Order deals death blow to net neutrality. Big Brother rejoices. Yeah, this is a little more of, tells a little more of the impact, what this actually means. And I saw this retweeted by Roseanne Barr, and I thought it was striking. These 10 people collectively own 33 million acres, or 1.5% of all U.S. land. And the chart shows, gives their names and how much property they own. Ted Turner's number 2 here. And, this just shows us, this isn't as disproportionate as the distribution of wealth in our country. And a few weeks ago, I had a video that actually made that very clear, how disproportionate the distribution of wealth is. But this is significant. From Natural News, American blogger imprisoned for life in wildly unconstitutional muzzling of unpopular speech. Sign of the times, but let's not be afraid, and let's not stop doing what we're doing. Let's amp it up. How's that? From Sherry Questioning All, this is actually from yesterday. The war on drugs is only a war to lock up those who use it. Government makes money from sale and imprisonment. They get you coming and going. DEA and U.S. government are behind the importation of drugs, court documents reveal. And I have a little companion article here. Well, perhaps not so little, certainly not less significant. From Washington's blog, big banks launder hundreds of billions of illegal drug cartel money, but refuse to provide services for legal marijuana. Yeah, they are, they're where it's convenient for them, it's okay. But where it might serve mankind, forget about it. So how are we going to resist the big banks? How are we going to continue the struggle against their tyranny? Well, from Veterans Today, how about Bitcoin, the global cure for Zionism? And certainly an alternative to the big banks, and one that can help us all achieve independence from the tyrants. So there's always that possibility. I almost did not include this article because I thought it was just too much darkness, too much bad news. But it's pretty significant. If this law is passed, we'll all be in debt to Monsanto. Terminator seeds could mean a few huge corporations totally control the global food supply. This is one of the ones that we, like Gandalf standing on the bridge. You shall not pass. And any opposition to this would have to be a good thing. They're dubbed suicide seeds, and I was thinking, okay, they're not really suicide seeds. What are they? Okay, they're gaiacide seeds, or even beyond that, they're viticide seeds, because they really have potential to twist life to the extent that it almost could become extinct. So, of course, we know that's not God's plan. I've read the back of the book, and God wins, and everything turns out all right. But this is, in the interim here, we're struggling against some of this evil. Just a little more bad news here from End the Lie. FBI won't file charges against the IRS over treatment of Tea Party groups. Well, okay, so the FBI won't file charges. How about some fat civil suits for some huge amounts of money? And the desperate possibility that is always there, attempted by a group of people in Mexico. We're taking our town back. Mexican vigilantes assemble and fight. And this is from the Daily Paul. And here's that peace, gold, and love. But, sometimes enough is enough, and people just won't take anymore. And Mexican peasants have had enough. El Guapo is in big trouble. So, and if any of you are just listening and not watching, and I'm not making any kind of a slur there, I'm reading what's here, and I am in deep respect and a little bit of awe of these people. So more power to them. And here is our good news for the day, which might not seem terribly significant in light of some of the other issues that we've looked at, but if you have had a lot of fillings in your teeth, and certainly the mercury that's in the what's called silver fillings is very bad for your health. If you're raising children or you're a young person and you haven't already had your teeth really fouled by dentistry, from Healthy Holistic Living, How to Heal Cavities Naturally. And I think this is tremendously helpful, and I hope that you can benefit from knowing this. With that, thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. It may seem dark, but weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.